today's video we are painting 3 schools with candy blue paint as well added in the mix. I'm going to give you a little pan round now. I'm set up and ready to go, but I'm going to take you through this whole process on creating this piece of artwork all the way through to the finished piece. So first thing you're going to need to do, if you've not got a projector and you've got a printer, you can print this piece of artwork up. You could do trace down, and trace down is where you print the piece on an A4 piece of paper or A3, as big as you can get it. You can get some trace down that will sit, it's a carbon paper, you sit it sort of on your white piece of paper and put your printed paper over the top, pencil over the outlines, and it will put you a penciled outline across to work from. If you've not got trace down paper, you can print your A4 piece or A3 piece of the artwork of the 3 schools out. You can pencil on the back of that all the way across, put a pencil on the back, flip it over, lay that on top of your piece of blank paper that you're painting on, pencil round, that will put the outlines across so you've got something to work from. I've got a projector, so we've projected the image up. So that's the throw to get that sort of size. You're looking at about 6 feet away to get that size image, and I've just sort of leveled it up to the paper that I'm working on. So the first thing I'll do on this is pencil round all these shapes, sort of very light pencil line to give me an outline to work from. You're not putting in the colours or anything like that, you're just basically going around the image to get all the outline of this piece. Now I'm going to be using shields on this, so if you've not got any shields and you've got a projector like I have here and you've projected your artwork up, get yourself another piece of cardboard. This is cut to the same size as this piece of paper here. I'm going to first pencil this one out, then I'm going to place this one over the top, which will put that image back onto this, and then I can pencil these bits where these long shapes are here. I can pencil the socket pieces out here if I need to, all these pieces onto here, the outlines, and then I can cut these shapes out on this cardboard, and then I can use these to hold across and use as shields. So that's the bonus with the projector. You can make your shields for your artwork as you go along if you've not got any shields. The only ones I've got that are sort of shapes are my old set, which you've seen in the videos previous, so these ones here. Some of these will be good for the skull, some of the shapes on here, but them long shapes that are on this piece, we can cut these out, so we can just lay these on the top and spray around them. Because we're doing candy, the candy paint's going to sit inside here, so I really want the candy paint shielded off from these white edges. We've got candy fades along here and some candy fades in here, so we can hold some shields up and just spray very lightly on these pieces. The airbrushes today that I'm going to use, I'm using 2 airbrushes, and they're both Iwata's today. We're going to use the Custom Micron and we're going to use the Takumi Eclipse to do this. We'll use the Eclipse for the candy, Custom Micron for all the artwork on the internal. So the first thing I'm going to do is pencil this piece of artwork out. I'll stick you in a time-lapse sort of pointing across here, and then you'll see how I pencil this out. I sort of sit in the shadow, pencil round, and I'll give you a little pan round in a minute of what I've done. See you in a bit. Right, you see in that time lapse we've projected up, and then you see me move the other piece of cardboard over and just go round on some bits. So I'll pan around and show what I've done. So we've got the outline So you're just working from an outline. All the textures and things you're going to put in sort of your own textures, or looking across at the reference, get them as close to as you can. So we've got all the outline there in pencil, and then I placed this one over the top and basically just went around the shape. So they're the two eye sockets here, that's that piece here. You've got these pieces here, which are these pieces. Now where I've scribbled on these inner pieces here, we're going to chop these out with a scalpel, all these little pieces like that. And then when we come to do the candy, we can just move this one over the top and just spray the candy, and it'll just shield off these pieces we want to keep white. They're not absolutely perfectly mirror matched. That shape's probably a little bit tighter than that one, but it doesn't matter because we're going to go with darks and candies, so we can cover up pieces if it's not lining up absolutely perfect, and we can move the shield to adapt it as we spray it. It's not a problem. So we're going to start off with, I'll get set up in here, get the light on. We're going to use Createx illustration to do the skull. I've got a transparent black and a shading grey, thinned out and mixed, so any textures and things like that, we can use that. And then the candy, we've got some specialist paints. We've got a two-part mix candy, which is a mix with D-thinner. We'll mix some of that, put that in the Takumi, and I'm going to do, on here, we're going to do like a flame pattern coming up through these skulls, coming up into the eye sockets. So it'll be a blue candy flame going through. Now we've got the blue candy, and I'm also going to use a solvent-based white as well, so we can layer the flames up, and we'll do like a realistic type flame coming up through these in candy and just sort of darken them off in these pieces here. So that's what we're going to do. So it'll look different to the picture. I'm sort of putting my own tweak to it, which I think with the flame going through the skulls will look a lot better. So I'll get set up, I'll stick you in a first time lapse, and I'll start working around this skull. I'll do a piece, pause, talk you through what I've been doing, and we'll do the whole process. So this is going to be about a 40-minute video today, guys. So get yourselves comfortable, grab yourself a coffee. There's loads of tips and tricks along the way. I'll see you in the next time lapse. Right guys, I'm all set up. I'm working from the tablet because I find it a little bit easier, because I can then pinch and pull the image up to where I'm working, sort of move it like that and work around that way. It just seems a little bit easier than setting up the monitor. Just grab the image again. So we can just pinch and pull it like that, so it's nice and easy. Now, knowing where to start on your piece of artwork, you can start anywhere you like. I'm going to start on this main skull here. So we'll be looking at this one here. And I'll sort of start off working out on these tops of the eye sockets here, and just start working around. Look at your reference. Don't go in too heavy too quick. That's what a lot of beginners tend to do. They tend to see a dark shade and go black straight away, and it's just too much. Start working really light and just work really light. And because I'm working in the Createx illustration, we're going to go Payne's Grey, which has got sort of quite a bit of blue to it. It's got a blue tone to it, which will work nice with the candies on this as well, because we're using candy blue. Now, the way I've mixed this is custom micron side feed. I've put 3 to 4 drops of water in the cup first, and then I've just topped it up with the Createx illustration, and then literally give it a little bubble back like that. Mix your paint up. So if you want a bubble back, just put your fingers over the front of your brush like that, and you will see it just sort of bubbles up in the cup. Then have a piece of paper to the side of you. Don't commit straight away with your airbrush and go to paint, because if you've not got your paint mix right, you're going to blast paint on it. It's going to go all over the place. So put a piece of paper to the side and then test your paint. Now, as you can see, this is running absolutely spot on. This thing gets down ridiculously fine with this illustration. I've found the micron works really nice with the illustration because the paint is just brilliant. It just works really well. So we've got the paint mix good. I'm running 20 psi in this. and I've got the Mac valve here so I can dial it in when I need to. So working on this school here, we can literally just start to puff a bit of paint in. Nice and light. And because we're putting textures in this, we can just go in really light, and then we can start erasing out, because this paint's really good for erasing with. So I'm just going to work around it going light, adding some textures to the top of this skull. Just putting a bit of paint down. And sort of mapping out, putting a little bit of paint in. Where you need it, and then you can just start adding more, taking away, adding more, taking away. If you went in too dark here now, you'd go blast, you'd put too much in, you could go too dark, and then you're trying to erase back all that paint. So if you're going really light, you can then get your eraser, and if you want to just sharpen them areas up, you can just knock that paint back and get rid of it. You can always add more. If you put too much down straight away, it's hard trying to get it off your panel, especially if you're working on something where you can't erase back and you're working on like a cartridge paper like this one we're going to cut out the pieces on. You blast it too heavy down on that paper, it's just going to absorb and you're not going to get it off. But this paper, because it's nice and smooth, we can drop a little bit of paint down and erase off. So I'll stick you in a time lapse, you'll see me work this area here, and then I'll give you a little talk through in a minute. Right, a little pause. Doesn't look nothing special at the minute. Schools never tend to when you first start putting the bits around here. It's only until you start dropping, when you get these sockets darkened out and they set back, it sort of brings the skull forward. And this part on the nose bit here, the socket on the nose, once that goes dark, these bits will pop sort of forward, and then I can start working in more and more here. But I'm just basically just dropping a bit of colour in. I'm going to work around the same on these bits, drop little bits of colour in, do it exactly the same, and then I'll just start layering things up, knocking a bit of paint away, dropping some textures in. I'm going to put my own textures in this as well, because these are just like soft shade textures on these. I'm going to put my own sort of textures. I've got a texture one that I made up here, which is a load of little dots going through, so I can put a few bits of that in. I've also got another texture stencil, I'll give you a look at that in a minute, and we can drop some little bits here and there. So I'm just going to work it as it is like this, go around these two skulls here, drop a little bit on these pieces here, just dust a bit of painting on these shapes coming down, and then we can start working sort of the next tone, dropping the bits in here, these darks on these tops of these pieces on the skull sockets here. We'll drop them in, sharpen up the teeth, put some highlights on the teeth, and carry on. So I'll see you in the next time lapse. a little pause and tell you what I'm doing. I've gone in again with the transparent illustration paint grey, done another pass, and just keep working it up, knocked a few textures back, and then went in with the shading grey and just put a dust over of the shading grey, then knocked a few more highlights back, and I'll just be bouncing across doing that. But I'm going to leave that as it is for now. I'm going to start working in the darks on the tops of these and just sharpening up certain sections on this now, bits around the teeth, and really darken these out and sharpen them up. And we'll darken these pieces in, and these will just sink the eye sockets in, and it can start to bring these other bits forward. So that's in the next step. Electric eraser, literally just doing random little passes over this just to make like textures and pop some of the highlights out. As I say, you can just keep adding and adding, a little bit more transparent, taking little bits away, sharpening and brightening bits up, and just manipulating the paint. So I'll drop the next colour in, stick in another time lapse, and we'll start sharpening all the teeth up and all these little intricate pieces. See you in a bit. On a bit, I've cut the stencil out and placed it over the top, so when you move that up you've got the skull and that underneath, and I've just dusted a little bit of black around the edges on that mask, so you can see just an outline there. And as I said, it didn't line up perfect, but we're going to be going over the top of this and working it in. So the next stage I'm going to do is I'm going to start dropping some of the candy in. Now I've got this mixed up, I've strained it as well. We're going to drop this into the Kume, and we're just going to do some light passes just to get this into place. Like that. Just work round, dropping a little bit of the candy in. On these bits. And the good thing about candy is it's basically like the Createx transparent. It's basically a transparent colour, so it's very light and you can sort of see through it. Drop a little bit more in. Lift that up and have a look. So you can see there the colour's just going in now, just darkening off. Just start to build this up. Another look. So I'm just building the colour up, getting them nice sharp through that shield. A bit more candy and just keep building them up. We're going to be dropping some flames in this, so we'll just keep building this. And I've kept the other parts of these shields, so when we put the flames in on the flames like this, I can then use the other shields, and then I can start working the actual shape underneath, which is this piece here. We can start working that. So that'll do for the first pass on that. What I do now is I stick in a time lapse. I'm going to go move that shield out of the way like this, and I'll start working the candies and the darks again back round here and just tidying this and tightening it up. See you in a bit. Right guys, a little talk through. I've placed the mask back down and just rolled up some masking tape just on some bits to keep it sort of close. Gone in with a black and just blacked out round and just darkened off these areas, these sort of pockets. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some like flames going up. Now when you do flames, you've got to remember that flames are random patterns. You'll tend to see on a lot of YouTube videos when people do flames and they use this shields, they always tend to go one way, and they always sort of, when you see them do a flame, they'll always continue the scallop the same sort of way. I always go flames and just do a random pattern like this, because we're going through this. So just do a random pattern in the white. Just go over that a little bit better. Like that. Then get your shield and then just start to pop some of the highlights out. Like this. And just work your way around. And you're just fogging in and just sharpening up some of these shapes. Like that. Just got to remember that flames are random. So that's the first pass. We'll just put a couple in here. Through the nose. I'm just doing some random lines. Like that. Give a bit of fogging in here. So that's sort of the first pass. Clean the brush out and then I'll go in with the candy, drop the candy over this and then go back in with the white, and you're sort of layering up, and just try and keep a nice sharp edge and keep your soft edges as well when you do flames. So I'll clean the brush out and then we'll drop the candy in. Right, we've got the candy in and then we're just going to candy over and just knock these ones back. And you'll just push these into the background. Like that. You just see that white sort of disappearing back. The more candy you put on, you'll just sink that back. And that's the beauty of like a transparent. Candies are very transparent, so you can just keep building the layers up. And we can pop these flames back out by going back in with white. So that's then knocked back. And you just get your sort of depth in your layers when you knock this back. So we'll move on, drop some more white in, pop these out again, then do the same again, drop them, knock them back, bring them out, knock them back, bring them out, until you get the finish that you're after. There you go, that's the next pass of white in. I'm going to leave it at that. I like that subtle look there. I've got the darks. I'm going to go back in with the black now and then just drop shadow this again, and it'll sink them flames back. So just get some black in, we'll just drop shadow the bits. I'll see you in a minute. So there you go guys, we are all done. You've seen in them sort of last clip we'd folded over the mask, we dropped all the flames in, then I moved the mask out and just went sort of freehand in on these pieces here. I can spend a little bit more time on this, sharpening things up, but I'm going to go with that. We've got the skulls down, all the textures, we've got the candy flame in the background, and we've got this scroll that comes through and merges into the skulls. So I hope you liked the video and pick some tips up along the way. Take your time, nice and easy, and just enjoy it guys, that's what it's about. Don't go in too dark too quick, just build your layers up and you'll be fine. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel and you're liking the content, click that subscription, press that notification so you don't miss out on any more up and coming videos, and I'll see you in the next one guys. Thanks so much for watching, cheers.